Okay guys, welcome to this week's Fife Property Update. This is the weekly update from the date of the beginning of the week, which is the 12th of June to the 18th of June. Now, we're going to be looking at the whole of the Fife property market. We'll be looking at the number of properties right across every single estate agent that's come on to the market in this week. We'll also be comparing that against the number of properties that have actually been sold in the same week period. And this gives us a good idea about where we are in terms of the supply and demand for each area. Now, I've gone right down to micro region, which is Cooper, Glenrothes, Kirkcaldy, St Andrews, East Neuk, and Dunfermline. And that then tells us on a local level in the micro regions where supply and demand is as well. Now, this is a great indication for anybody out there that wants to be looking at, should they be offering significantly more for a property than the home report value? Should they be offering the home report value, or should they get away? Will they be able to get away by offering less than the home report value? So this will give you a good indication about where that is. Now, we've looked at this successive week on weeks, and everything seems quite stable, but there is some key indicators that suggest the property market could be shifting to a more stable footing rather than being a boom supply over demand just now. Now, I did a show this morning with Andrea about that very subject. I'm going to talk about that in a minute, and the link is in here to that show as well. And it'll be a great insight if anybody wants to listen to the podcast or watch the show itself or read the article, because it's a lot of good information on that. But we'll talk about that in a minute. First of all, I'm going to talk about the Fife property market and the supply and demand in the area. I'm going to talk about website statistics as well, because it's actually quite interesting for the last year. And this will give you a strong indication about where it is in terms of the amount of activity from certain areas. It's quite revealing. And it also suggests to me that there's people from further afield outside of Fife actually looking at Fife as a valued proposition to where they want to actually invest in or buy in and actually move to or live in. And again, we'll look at these statistics and see where we go. But first of all, let's crack on with the micro regions. So as you can see in Cooper area, 10 properties came to market last week, and 12 properties went under offer and sold. So there's still a good demand in the Cooper area. 20% more, if you put that in statistical terms, than actually what's been listed in that same week. Again, a week is not a trend. We tend to look at a month overall, and we've looked at successive months previously. But when we get to the first week in July, we'll look at the month of June overall and see how that compares against. There's just doom and gloom out there from the media saying, and there's people there saying, probably for the last 5 years, to be honest, there's going to be some property crash. It's a bubble. And it's like, well, if you talk about it long enough, at some point in time, it probably will happen. And then you'll say, I told you so. And it's like, well, you've been saying it for the last 5 years, to be honest. But that's a strong indicator about where we are in terms of the numbers. East Neuk 4 came onto the market, 3 went under offer and sold. St Andrews 9 came onto the market, 1 went under offer and sold. That's quite actually real. But when you look at St Andrews is at the top end of the price range. So sometimes you wouldn't expect St Andrews to be a market where people would run in straight away and buy straight away, because it's quite high end. It is the London of Fife, so to speak, in terms of price points. Leadmouth 12 came on the market, 5 actually went under offer and sold. Again, Leadmouth successively in the past weeks have actually been a lot more sold than actually come onto the market. So next week we'll be able to tell if that's going to reverse. Typically it usually does, to be honest. 43 in Dunfermline area, 54 actually sold. Huge demand in Dunfermline that week. Glenrothes 17 actually came on, 11 sold. Glenrothes has always been quite a popular area, but we notice now there's a lot more people come onto the market in Glenrothes, and I think that's because the price points are moving up and up and up. I mean, the average 2-bedroom house in Glenrothes used to be round about the 100,000 mark. Now you're moving up into the 140 level in terms of the price point as well. And so maybe a lot of people taking profits or looking at the opportunity, because the lower end seems to be a higher value just now proportionately or disproportionately compared to the higher end in terms of price improvements. So a lot of people at the lower end are possibly selling in order to upgrade to the higher end of the market. And we've seen that happening. And finally, Kirkcaldy 27 and 33. Again, good supply, good demand in Kirkcaldy. Overall, 122 came on, 119 sold. Even Stevens, you know, that's the reality of where it is. But this is quite interesting. So we looked at the numbers, and if you've got any questions, please feel free to ask them as well. I'll be able to, if I can answer them on air, I will. Some of the things I'll be talking about the properties coming to market as well. We've got coming on soon in this period in this week. And also talking about some of the properties that have actually sold recently to give you an indication about what these types of properties are going for in terms of the value. Let's look at the website statistics. Now, this is over a year. Now, this dotted line is last year. So the current period, which is the hard blue line, that is from, you'll see up there, the 19th of June last year to the 18th of June yesterday. That's a year's worth. So that's a year. And then what we did was compared it against the exact same figures from the previous year to see if there was any difference. Now you could see it's almost like for like in terms of where it is, but you'll notice that there's a lot more demand on the blue line, which is currently now, than there was before. And you see where that is. Now, if you look at, interestingly enough, we talk about there's a spike here from the year before in comparison to what it is now. Back in March and April, but we actually identified that spike was caused by, that was the closing off of the stamp duty in previous years when the stamp duty was running out. So people were running to the, to websites to actually get an offer made on a property to actually take advantage of the stamp duty threshold closing off. And then it started to come back down after that. So that seems to be that sort of supply and demand there. But you can see overall, year on year, there's actually almost a 1.5% improvement in terms of the numbers coming onto our website and in terms of the demand. So, we're getting into the realms of successive media actually saying to us that they think the property market is actually slowing down, but in actual fact, that suggests for our website that the demand's still there. There's still people looking for property all the time. Interestingly enough, we'll talk about where they're looking from. That's quite revealing. Now, give you an idea about the technology used. Most people are coming on a mobile platform. About 70% of these numbers are coming on mobiles. Hence the reason why you should make sure that every agent you're operating with, or people that you're choosing, has a real good mobile strategy. Because this is the television of today, your mobile. That's where everybody, you could say for yourself, most people actually spend more time on their mobile now while the television's on in the background. This is the new television. Television has now become the radio. People just listen to it in the background when they're actually on here. And this is the golden opportunity when you've got an agent that's active on mobile platform and digital platform to actually get in front of people using the new television. And that's the strategy in an agent you should be looking for. And that bears out in the numbers here in terms of what we're looking at. Because more people are on the mobile, some people on the desktop, and less people are actually on tablets than they were the year before. That's quite a revealing thing. So either people are just, it's probably because mobiles have got a lot more sophisticated than tablets now, and they're bigger, and you get a lot more information, higher definition on your screen. So you no longer need to see huge amounts of, you no longer see a big picture in order to see the detail involved, because it is so high definition now. You've got mobiles broadcasting in ultra high definition, which is what we do when we do our video walkthroughs now. And that actually engages with a higher platform and actually gives you further reach in terms of the search engines, in terms of the algorithms on social media as well. So let's quickly jump through the next statistic. This is actually where they all come from. You can see there's an uplift in people coming direct to our website year on year. So there's a huge uplift, about 10%. Organic search has gone up as well. People actually just coming straight into Google and saying, Fife Properties or properties for sale in Fife. They're coming straight to our website. Over about 150,000 people, almost 200,000 people direct. And then socials has dropped a wee bit to round about, it's 115,000. That's almost 10,000 people a month 10,000 people a month from social media are coming in straight onto our website, directly onto there. And referral channels, I mean, there's only 2,600. That's basically people from Rightmove and Prime Location and Zoopla. And I kind of think these websites have had their day. I mean, most people will look at them, but you find that most people will tend to engage with a social media platform before they actually go to a website at all. And we tend to find that as well. People will engage with us and get in touch with us when we launch on social media way before any website. So we're seeing a huge change and shift in mindset of how people perceive the property market and how they search and use their technology to their best advantage to get in there first before everyone else. After all, it is still a seller's market, but slightly. It's a buyer's market. It's moving slightly to a buyer's market now, and I'll tell you about that in a wee minute. Okay, and interestingly enough, if you look year on year, more people, a wee bit less people coming in from the United Kingdom, but more people actually coming onto our website from the United States. That's around about 1,500 people every single month are actually clicking onto our website from the United States. Germany, there's about 500 a month clicking on from Germany, and you're just under about 400 for Ireland as well. So that gives you good insight into the different countries around the world that are coming onto us. But again, you see that increase at the top there in terms of the numbers year on year coming onto our website. So there's no change there. And if you look by city, this is actually quite revealing. If I look by city here, give me 2 seconds. I'll just zoom in on this, see if I can get in here. This is actually quite a revealing statistic. So you've got at the top, that's not set. I mean, don't worry about that. Edinburgh. There's about 40,000 people from the Edinburgh market coming onto our website every single in the year. 40,000 is round about over 3,000 people every single month from Edinburgh coming to our website. Our biggest hitters are Edinburgh, London, Glasgow. These are the big hitters. Look at how London's jumped up. London's jumped up year on year, 41% in the numbers. That's because people from London are realising it is a lot more cost effective to actually live in the Fife market or invest in the Fife market because our price points are completely different. And I do talk about that in the shifting of the Fife property market show that I did this morning, and show direct examples and statistics to back that up. Glasgow is another big market that comes on our website. You can see there, people from Glasgow. These are all the big hitters with all the big money in terms of purchasing, in terms of what they can buy here. Because if you're selling, when you think about it, if you're buying a 2-bedroom flat in Merchant City for 450,000, you know, with a converted bank previously, kind of what can you get for 450,000 in Fife? Wow, you can get a 5-bedroom, easily 5-bedroom detached property, possibly even get something sitting on Frontline Beach in terms of their view, in terms of the sea, maybe even in the countryside. With a probably classic example is the one that we've got on recently is Inham Park. And that's on at 550,000, but you can play a 450,000 2-bedroom flat, 550,000 2.6 acres, 5-bedroom 2-reception detached bungalow. No comparison there. I think and when people more and more wanting to actually relocate to places that they'll have a better lifestyle for them and their family, because they can actually remote working now, they can remote work and actually just travel into work maybe 1 or 2 times a week, then it's an easy option for them to relocate and actually have a better quality of life for them and their family. So you can see Kirkcaldy, Glasgow as well. You can the 32,000 every month, every year coming on. That's round about just under between 2.5 to 3,000 people every month again. So when you look at the Edinburgh, London, and Glasgow, you've got 3,000, 3,000, and 3,000. You've got almost 10,000 people from these areas every single month coming onto our website direct. That's direct, by the way. That's not going through any channels. That's coming straight to us direct on these websites. They're not looking at any other property. They're just looking for ours. These are all the big hitters. And it's often we hear people saying, oh, I've got to use an Edinburgh estate agent. Hello? Why? Because we've got all the traction. We've got probably more than what they've got. And you know, that then bears out in here straight away. So then as you go down, you can see some of the other areas, some of the local areas have actually dropped, but they've not dropped really, because look at Dunfermline's about 2,000 a month. Look at Kirkcaldy, there's more than 2,000 a month coming on our website still. But it's interesting that it gets picked up in the areas where the people are big hitters, like St Andrews. That's gone up 33% year on year. So 1,000 people in St Andrews area is coming onto our website every single month. And then you look at other places like over the areas. If you go over in Ireland, you've got Dublin. That's gone up. You've got Birmingham, Croydon, Forest City, Manchester. You've got all these different areas coming on our website as well. So they're all big hitters. So what does that mean for you and I in terms of selling? Well, it means there's people with bigger budgets able to buy your property, therefore allowing you to have a lot more money, possibly after the home report value, in order to make a choice to buy another property in Fife, possibly at a less proportionate value. Therefore, you have an instant gain in between the trade up, or possibly even on the trade down. You've got more money in your pocket for the property you're about to buy. That's what that means in a nutshell. And again, I do talk about that in the shift in the Fife property market in the show that I'm just about to talk about just now. Let's jump into some numbers in terms of what's been sold this week. And I'll give you a good idea about where we are in terms of what's been sold, what's been done. Okay, so this week, we quickly beforehand, off market, Douglas Road and Leslie, 49 Douglas Road and Leslie, the commercial unit is now away. Actually, we never even got a photograph, to be honest. It sold off market before it even went to a pre-portal. A qualified buyer, they were all registered and ready to proceed. The seller is absolutely over the moon that happened. So that's what can happen. This is why it's important to make sure that you're registered with us. So if there's properties like this and opportunities like this and they come up, you get first shout before anyone else because you're already qualified and registered with us. Therefore, if it does come to market and the owner prefers actually not to go on a website, then you get first bite of the cherry without anybody else ever knowing, because it never goes near a website. That's why it's important for you to register with us beforehand, even though it's important. I must stress that. I can't stress that enough, how important it is for you. If you want your dream home might be sold and you might never even see it. It's as simple as that, because it goes off market. There's a deal done and it never goes to a website, because that's what the seller requires. That's what they want. Okay, so we'll jump back. Muirfield Drive is away now. That went away. Now that was on it, offers over 110,000 on the home report. This is a 3-bedroom terraced house. It had 12 viewers. One person or other person missed out. So there is good popularity for these types of properties. 110,000. These properties 2 or 3 years ago were selling at 70 and 80,000 pounds. That's what I mean about the jump is enormous in terms of the Glenrothes market. On the lower value properties, it will allow people to upgrade to newer build and newer type properties as well, because disproportionately there's been a huger increase in the lower end than there is in the upper end. Okay, let's talk about 50, no surprise, 58 Toll Road in Cellardyke, 4-bedroom end terraced house, 12 viewings, 2 people missed out. Home report value is 230,000. It is away within 1 week. We had a huge demand on this type of property. If you've got these types of properties, get in touch with us, because it went way beyond 230,000. So that's where we are with these right now. Finally, the other one is 2 North Muir Place in Glenrothes, 3-bedroom detached bungalow. Again, 7 viewings, 2 people missed out. Home report value 275,000. Again, it went way over that in terms of the final result. So if you've got a 3-bedroom detached bungalow in the Glenrothes area like this, or similar to this property itself, there is people out there ready and willing on our books to pay significantly more than what the home report value is, and it allows you to make better choices on possibly a better house, or maybe invest a wee bit more money on doing things in the house when you move in, when you buy your next property, because we've managed to get you a bit more for it. That's why we talk about these things. Okay, let's talk about what's coming soon. Everybody wants to know what's coming soon. So coming soon, Callie Hope House. I will be doing video walkthroughs, pre-recordings tomorrow at Callie Hope House in Balcorney Road in Crail. This is a semi-detached bungalow. This is 4 bedrooms, 5 bathrooms, and a swimming pool. And it is on a huge block. And I'll be doing a video recording and filming walkthrough tomorrow to be released this week at some point in time. 44 Scarabean Crescent in Glenrothes. That is actually a detached 4-bedroom, 2-bathroom integrated garage. Beautiful finish inside. That'll be coming on this week as well. 32 Carlton Crescent in Glenrothes, end terrace, 3-bedroom, offers off-street parking as well. That's coming on. Abbey Wall Road in Pitt and Wean, terraced house, 2 bedrooms and an attic room, off-street parking. It is move-in condition. Abbey Wall Road in Pitton Weem, 2-bedroom terraced house and an attic room. Move-in condition, ready to go. That will be coming on as well. And as I said, Inham Park, I've just put on, I did the pre-portal on Friday, and it's already got offers. Already people want to offer on it. I've not even got it onto a website yet. And that was on it. That's on it. Offers over 550,000 just now. I suspect it's going to go way beyond that, but we'll find out in time. Okay, completed properties. 8 Thistle Terrace in Leaven, that sold for 6,000 more than the home report value. Seller was delighted with the result, and the purchaser is looking forward to their first new home. This property was previously a buy-to-let property, so it's a buy-to-let property now be converted for a first-time buyer buying it. There's more first-time buyers in the market in the last 5 years. There's about 1,200 properties or new owner-occupiers bought a lot more properties in the first-time buyer market as well, and home ownership market, than there is in the buy-to-let market, investment market. Buy-to-let market is declining a wee bit. The home ownership market is improving significantly more. So it's a misconception for people to believe out there that there's more people as investors buying more property ups, and homeowner occupiers are missing out as a result. That is not the case. The statistics don't show that at all over the last 5 years. There's more owner occupiers in the last 5 years than there ever was before. There's about 8,000 actually, and I did a previous show about that in our website, in our blog, and you can see that if you want to go through and find out that show. 19A Randolph Street, Buckhaven is finally sold as well. That was sold over the home report value. Seller delighted with the result. Was able to move closer to the daughter, and purchaser delighted to start a new home as well for that property. So that's the one so far. Let's talk about some of the articles and shows I ran in the week, which is really important. The one we did yesterday with Jimmy and Andrea was about the price isn't right. You'd be surprised how to spot and stop your house being overvalued. How on earth is it possible to overvalue your house in this market? But we talk about that on this show. Now, in this broadcast itself is the link to that show, and a link to the podcast, and also a link to the article. Now, the podcast and the show lasts about an hour. So you could listen to it on the way to work on the podcast, or you could watch it during the day if you want, or you could listen to it in the morning. I usually listen to podcasts and other shows on YouTube channels in the morning when I'm preparing my breakfast and everything like that, and getting ready. So it keeps me up to date and keeps me in tune about where I'm going. So it's a good use of your unproductive time otherwise. So you're doing kind of two things at once and getting the benefit of that and getting that knowledge and information over the year. Think about that. If you do it 5 days a week, every single morning, you're going to be 5 hours more educated every single time, and times 52 or 50, because you take 2 weeks off maybe for Christmas and holidays and stuff like that, you're not listening to podcasts, then you've got almost 250 hours. Is that? Yeah, 250 hours. Now, 250 hours divided by a 40-hour week, for example, is another 6 weeks of educational time that you've just made use of. All because you've listened to a podcast in the morning while you're going to your work, or while you're getting prepared for work in the morning, or while you're getting ready for the rest of your day. So it's a great way to make use of unproductive time. Anyway, that's why I talk about listening to our shows and possibly listen to the podcast as well. It is a possibility that you can actually get your house overvalued by an estate agent when they walk in the door. And we talk about on this show and in this article how to spot that and what questions to ask to make sure that's not what the estate agent is doing deliberately to try and get you a business. And the reason why you should be asking these questions for that purpose. So that's why we talk about it. We talk about asking the price is asking too much, how you can tell if a valuation is inflated, the honest mistake or a deliberate ploy by the estate agent, protect yourself with a get out clause, what to say to your estate agent if you feel that might be the case, and to keep yourself in check. And when possibly, I don't ever think you would ever get to that stage, but if it did come to that time, when you should actually consider switching your agents. But I don't actually think that should happen. I don't think you should ever get to that stage, to be honest. Your estate agent should always be upfront with you, and I'm supposed they would be anyway. Okay, the one that we talked about this morning, this is a quite interesting one. The shift in the Fife property market. This is a really good one. Now, I did this morning. I put a lot of more information than what the article is in here. and we talked about the 2 reasons for the shift in the Fife property market. I also talked about the 3 reasons of the signs and why there's signs of a shift in the Fife property market. And then I talked about how inflation and how interest rates will affect the Fife property market over the next couple of years, and why sometimes we'll not be able to do anything about that. But to be honest, it doesn't really matter in essence. But it's a really good content show. So the article's good. The show's a good backup in terms of what would, if you want to watch it, or the podcast is even exactly the same as the show. You could just listen to it as you're traveling to your work. Interestingly enough, some of the main things in here, 2 of the reasons why it's vital for the shift in the Fife property market. Firstly, easygoing Fife property market gold mine for the past couple of years will end. That's clear there, and we'll talk about that in a wee bit more detail. Secondly, the most significant shift in the Fife property market, it is not going to be a collapse. The 3 reasons, just in summary: the number of houses for sale has grown by 17% in the last 6 months. The number of properties sold in the UK has dropped by 11.4% year on year from 2022 now to last year, 2021. I probably just touched on that a wee bit in statistics that I've done on the site itself. And then also the final one for me is the number of house price changes has increased by 69% since January. I'll say that again, the number of house price changes has increased by 69% since January. That's actually quite a lot. That's people revising their price point. So taking all these things together, well, I'll leave you to read the article and come up with that summation. But Fife house prices, remember, are still 13.1% higher than a year ago. And we're still extremely affordable in comparison to the UK. And I'll talk about the reason why that is, and it will still be, and why Fife will still continue to be so popular, and how interest rates and inflation will affect that market as well. You need to be in the know if you want to understand the dynamics in order to get the best price for your property and also get the best circumstances for your house sale as well. And why I mean by circumstances is in order to balance that time where you've actually got to find your next property when you get your property under offer. I mean, before the credit crunch, what used to happen, and most people won't know about this, the younger generation, you used to actually commit to buying a house, and you say, yep, I'm going to buy your house, this is the price I've got, and then you would say, right, I'm going to put my house in the market now to sell to buy your house, and that was acceptable. But the credit crunch came along, and all of a sudden that completely changed, and now it's a case of no, you have to have some sort of confirmed offer or have your house in the market before we'll even consider any offer you would say to us. So you have to have your ducks in a row beforehand. And this is why we manage the sale all the way through and talk about it all the way through as well, how to do that in the most skillful way in order to get the best of everything. Best of both worlds, best of being a seller and also best of being a buyer. I mean, imagine getting maybe 10,000, 20,000 more for your house sale than normally you would get with anybody else, and then also buying from an agent and actually getting the benefit of buying it less 10 to 20,000 as well. So you get both sides of that. You get a 40,000 overall uplift in your end result and what you've got. And we tell you how to skillfully do that on both sides of that equation. Okay, that's kind of probably just finishing up there, to be honest. Wealth creation show, I'm going to talk about this tomorrow. Quickly, the wealth creation show, if it's all about wealth creation for you, and I mean, it's not about income, it's about your wealth going up every single year consistently. It's not taxable, remember, wealth. That's the great thing about wealth. Wealth is not taxable until you realize the asset, and then that's when the tax kicks in. But there's ways to mitigate that in the best way possible. I was an accountant before, so I understand that completely, and because I was an accountant in the industry, and I've been doing this for 30 years in terms of property investment. So I'm going to be talking to Karen tomorrow, Karen Marshall, one of our experienced letting agents. We're going to be talking about financial management of in the wealth creation show, about rental yields, and why it's so important, which is at the heart of every successful business. And as a landlord and investor, the landlord is somebody that's hands-on, does all the management himself. Investor is somebody that gets somebody like us to look after the property and look and just get on with it. Now, I am an investor now. I'm no longer a landlord. I used to be boots on the ground landlord, do everything, and I used to do that for about 20 years. And the last 10 years, I've become an investor, and I have my division, my lens division, that does everything for me. All I do is, are the numbers right? Does it work? Yep, buy the asset. It makes money. That's it. That's all I do now. So I'm now an investor. So why, as a landlord or investor, a rental yield of a buy-to-let can affect whether you buy a property in the first place. After that, it can help you monitor your investments, ongoing profitability and performance. Now, this is a key indicator, the rental yield. It's one of the key indicators to property investment. And it will drive forward your investment portfolio and hedge you against unexpected events. Now, if the market changes, this is what hedges you against it, so you can weather any wind or storm or whatever it is that you want to call it, and it won't affect you at all. And this is what we talk about in the Wealth Creation Show, how to do all this. This is years. This is 30 years of distilled information you're getting in this 1 hour slot tomorrow at 12:30 live. I'll be talking about this, and I'll be talking about how it's important and why it's important, that key indicator. So if you're wanting to tune into that at 12:30 tomorrow, it will be on my public profile, it will be on my personal profile as well, and we will share it onto our office pages as well at the same time as being on YouTube. So it will be live on YouTube, it will be on Twitter as well, and it will also be on our other pages later on, and we'll put it out the next day as a podcast as well. So Wealth Creation Show as well, and as usual, we'll just finish off there. My instant valuation tool's on there for anybody that wants to use that instant valuation tool to give you a quick instant valuation of your property and give you an idea about the 3 different levels about where your property sits in the banding in terms of your rental potential, the rental income you can get for your property, and also the sale value you can get for your property as well. So that is on this post above, below, depending on what format you're watching this on, and if you're watching it in the rerun. As always, guys, if you want to ask a personal question and you don't want to put it on the public channel, then please feel free to message us direct on this post, and it will be a private message between you and I, and I'll be able to advise you. If it is something to do with the Wealth Creation Show you want me to talk about tomorrow, I'm happy to talk about that question, but not refer to you directly, so you get an answer to that question, and then that makes it all nice and private and neat for yourself. Okay, guys, and until next time, I'll see you tomorrow on the Wealth Creation Show at 12:30 live, and I'm Jim Parker for Fife Properties TV.